Hello, good morning. Yes, welcome to another class, but this class will be a practical one. So what I will intend doing this morning is to do some practical C++ programming class for us. So we would launch our ID. So I'm using Microsoft Visual Studio 2017. So you come to your file, new project, and what we're doing is console application. You can see is a Visual C++. You can see the environment is Visual C++. So you ensure you are in your window console application and you give your application your name. Let's say test. You need to ensure you know the location where you are saving your word and you click enter. All right, so let's wait for it to load. So we are having this environment. So this where we write our code. Let me delete this, they're not necessary. So you have your pre-compiled header for you. So let me use a namespace std. All right, so it will save me a lot. All right, so this is just the basic structure that you need. Um, you need your hash include IOStream that is responsible for your input and output devices, right? Using namespace std contains your standard library and your main function. This is where execution starts from. Your program starts execution. So now, what I intend teaching this morning or this afternoon, it depends on when you're watching me, is I want to show you how to create variables. I told you earlier that variable is what is a location in the computer memory where you can save your values. So, and I told you that for you to create any variable, that you have to specify the data type. That is to say the type of data the variable will be holding. And I said we have about 5 fundamental data type. We have our integer data type, our floating point data type, character, we have Boolean, we also have double. So let's create a variable, right? Let's say you want to create a variable called age, all right? And you assign the value of 10 to your variable. So it means you're creating a variable called age and you're also assigning a value to it. So what you're doing is variable declaration and initialization. Now, assuming I only have int age, what I'm having is just variable declaration. I'm reserving a space in my computer memory called age, right? But the memory location does not have a value. Age does not have a value. So I can come to the next line and say age, which is the variable I've created. Now I can now assign a value to it. Age equals 10. Are we good? So the first line is what? Variable declaration. Now this is initialization. You're putting a value in your variable, right? Then for me to display the content of a variable, I use the keyword cout followed by the output extraction operator. Then I can specify the variable I want to display. And I end every statement with what? With a semicolon. Just like every time you write a sentence, you end it with a full stop. You're telling the reader or the compiler that yes, I'm done with my statement, with my command. So I created the variable age. I ended it with what? A semicolon. That's the first line. The second line, I'm assigning a value to what? To age. Then the third line, I'm displaying the content of age. Now I use my keyword cout followed by the extraction operator to help me display the content of age. If I want to execute or to run this command, I can come to my local window debugger to help me, or I can also come to build this solution. Yes, after building it, let's see what it would give to us. Now, because age holds what? A whole number. So age is specified as what? An integer. You can see the output, it says one succeeded, zero failed. It means my program has no error. Yes, right? So I can then run it. Now, what you saw is that the program ran, it executed, right? But you can see the console closed immediately. So to make the console stay on the screen, you can add a keyword like system pause. This is a system command. C++ allows you to be able to interact with system commands, right? System pause. So it allows you to pause the screen so you can run again and see, let's see our output. Now you can see that we have on the screen 10. Press any key to what? To continue. All right. It's because when I output to the screen, I only ended it. I never specified that it should come to a new line. So I can come and write end line, right? So my end line, after displaying age, it will bring the cursor to the new line. You can see after displaying the content of age, it displays, brings any other thing to a new line. You can see the value of age. But you can see that this is not interactive. What does 10 mean? 10 means nothing. But to make it more interactive or more informative, I can come here and say cout your age is, I gave it a, then what I just did is I displayed this string. I want to display it on the screen followed by what? The value of age, right? So at least it will now make sense that your age is what? Is age. Let's run. So you can see your age is 10. For you to display a string onto the screen, to a screen, use your cout, use to output. You can see computer output to the screen, computer output to the screen or to the output device, which is your screen. This string, your string must be put in what? In quotes. Your string must what? Must be put in quotes. So you end your statement with a semicolon. This is how you output it to the screen. Now you can come to a new line and also say cout with your extraction operator, then age, right? So what it will display is, it will display your age is, you come again to say cout, your age is the content of age, the content of this location called age, right? So that's what it will do. But there's a way C++ helps us, whereby if you are not true with your statement, you don't need to end it with a semicolon. You can continue to use this cout. This cout keyword will help you display to the screen, right? But because you are not true, you continue with the extraction operator. So it means this cout has effect on the age and on the string called your ages, and also on what? On age, right? So it will still, it will work. All right. Okay. All right. So just like this, let me grade this out for you to comment. Um, you use your forward slash, right? So assuming I want another variable called value, rather than coming to a new line and to say int value, to create another variable, since both age and age and value are of the same data type, or what I would do is I come to that same line and just separate them by a comma. So it means age and value are of the same data type, int. So if you place your cursor on value, you will see it as a data type of int. You can see int value, right? So it's self-explanatory. It's self-explanatory. So rather than coming to the new line and using the keyword int value, just on the same line, just separate those variable by comma. So you can still continue and say, okay, score 1, the first score 2, they are all of the same data type called what? Integer, right? Good. So integer stores whole number. What about floating data type? Okay, floats. It stores value with decimal point. That is to say, it can help you hold values up to 6, 7 decimal places. So you use float for variables that will store values, real values, right? So you can now come here and say this equals, and you can then display. Now let's use something score. Let's just say score 1. So we want to display the content of score 1, score 1. So you will see, well, so let me just say, you can see your age. Why? Because here I still specify age. Your score is this. Hmm? Let me end line. All right. So your score is this. Let's see. Good. Your score is 10 points. Now, if you declare a variable as int and you're trying to put any value, any floating point value in it, now look at it. I declared score to be what? I declare score to be of integer data type. Now I'm storing a floating point value to it. What it will do is it will truncate what? It will truncate those decimal parts. It will remove them and display the what? The whole number part. Why? Because integer only accepts whole number, right? So sometimes in your calculation or in your program, when you're writing program and you declare a variable, you see that, oh, the value I'm expecting to see on the screen, I'm not getting it. Then you need to go back and look at what? And look at what you have. So int age. So what will be the score? The score will be what? Your score one will be 10. You can see your score is 10. Okay. All right. So we've been able to talk about integer values, variable. What if we want to talk about character? We want to talk about character. Character only helps us to hold up value or letters of the alphabet A, B, C, D. So um, you can then specify the sex is male. Male. Why? Male. Male. So you use just a single quote just for one. But if what you want is a string of characters, you use double quote. So character data type only allows you to store what? Just a single letter of the alphabet. So your sex is sex. So let's see. Your sex is M. Any attempt to input more than one, it's going to be an error. It's going to be an error. Why? Because character data type only takes one what? One alphabet. So if you're specifying this, you're specifying more like a string. So more like an array. And we are not there yet. So you can see we are already having, so a value of type const char, you can see that's a pointer to an array, cannot be assigned to an entity of the type char. You can see sex is of the type char, while this is a pointer. So we'll be having issues. All right. So we've been able to talk about character. What about the Boolean data type? It helps us to store either zeros and one. So let's just say choice. So choice equals. So you can specify. Now Boolean helps us to store either true or false statement. So you can store true. Choice. Your choice is. So it can help us to store true or false statement as 0 or 1. So true is a 1. 0 is what? False, right? So I created a variable called choice of the data type bool, and I assigned value of true to it. So we will see the content, how it's being stored. So your choice is what? 1. Why? because it's what? True. So you can also say, okay, is false, or so false is stored as what? As, oh, sorry, C, yeah, like this, because true, false is stored as zero. Then true is a keyword. True, yes. So let's see, it's stored as what? It's stored as one. Sorry about that. So choice, or you can also say one. If you give it one, it will accept it because one means true, right? It will still accept. Zero means false. It will still store it as a. So if I say it's zero, it still means what? It still means false. Good. All right. There's another concept which I want to show you how to save, store floating point value. Floating point value. So you can also store your floating point. You know, I said float can have the store real number just like this, right? What if you want to store values in scientific um format, like 2.6 exponential minus 3? Yes, you can store it this way as a floating point um, value, right? So that's 2.6 times 10 raised to power minus 3, right? You can, you can see, you can see. So rather than you typing 0.000, what if it's exponential minus 10? So how many zeros, You just put zeros, about 9 zeros. But just use this standard form and you'll be able to store your value. You can see, okay, that's it. That's the representation. Okay, let me reduce so that we can see, let's say 5. Okay. Oh, sorry. What happened is this in my, it was showing me earlier that this should be, because the number of precision is more than you can see it casted it as a double, because the number of precision is more than 5. So float will not be able to store it. You change to what? You change to double. So then double should be able to display. Yes. Double should, you can see. Okay, let me see if I save it. Okay. So you can also store in this format. Okay. All right. So that's it. I hope you've been able to learn. Now, there's something I want you to also take cognizance of, and it entails when you are doing your calculation. So let's say I have a variable called score1. Score1, score2, score 3. So assuming I want to find the average of these 3 scores, I want to find the average of these 3 scores. Where I have to save it, I know that, yes, when I find the average, when I find the average, sometimes I do have decimal points, right? I do. So you must ensure that where you will save your result must be able to store what? Real values, numbers with decimal point, right? So you can come here and say, okay, average should store what? Score, the value of score 1 plus the value of score 2 plus the value of score 3, all divided by what? 3.0, and you end it. So then you can now display the content of what? Average. Your average score is this, right? So what I'm trying to emphasize is this, that the storage for average must be what? Of the type float. Because sometimes when you find the average of score, you always have real numbers. So you have to store it in a variable. All right. Oh, it will not run. Why? You created a variable, but there's no assigned value. Now look at the error here. So ability for you to debug is saying uninitialized local variable score. You've not initialized it. There's no score. So is it that you assign a value to it, let's say 10. You can give it a value 20. You can also give it a value 30. Then you should be able to. So your average score is what? 20. Why? 30 plus 20, 50 plus 10, that's 60 divided by 3. That's 20, right? So now, every time you run this program, it will always give you 20. But what if you intend changing the value? Then you need a keyword called cin. Now, you need a value called what? Cin. So here, you display to the user please enter the value for score 1. You can just type everything there. This value for score 1, score 2, score 3. Okay, so how do you enter the value? You use the keyword cin. If to display a value out to the screen is cout, to input value into the system will be cin. And now the input extraction will be double forward. Double forward what? Double forward arrow key. So you say score 1. You can continue to use the cin, use score 2, followed by score 3, followed by score 3. Then, so what should we have? Please enter the value for score 1. Okay, let's say 20. Enter. Score 2. 35. Enter. Score 3. Let's say 45. Enter. So you can see your average score is 33.3333. Right. So for you to input, let me show you this. Let me see if I can have the whites. Okay. So now imagine this is your CPU. Let's say CPU. This is your keyboard. So your keyboard goes to your CPU. Is attached to your CPU, and you have your monitor. Let's say this is a monitor. So this is your monitor, right? So for you to input value to the CPU, you use what? The cin, input, computer, input. Now, from the keyboard is going to the CPU, so it's flowing like a stream. So it flows to what? To your variable. Your variable is in your CPU, your memory, right? So it's flowing to what? A variable here called score. Score. Let me put it here. Score. Let's say score 1. So any value you input from the keyboard, which is your input unit, flows to what? To your score. Flows to your score 1. Let's say score 1. So from the keyboard, it flows into the CPU to a memory location called what? Score 1. So if you input the value of 10, inside the location you have 10, right? But if you have to display to the screen, it means, let me use another color. It means from the CPU, it's flowing to what? To the output unit. So you use cout. Cout. Now, and this is your variable. Let's say this is your variable age. Your age is, is a variable in your CPU. Where is it flowing? It's flowing to your output. So how does it flow? It is flowing in this direction. Can you see? From your memory, which is in your CPU, is flowing to where your output device. If it is from your keyboard and you want to store it in a variable called age, where is it flowing? It's flowing from your keyboard to what? To your variable location. So that's how you can see. So the input extraction is flowing this way from my keyboard to where? To my variable inside the memory, right? So that's how it's done. Now, if I want to display to the screen, it first of all display this where? So it flows to my output device, which is my monitor, and also it displays what? The average score. So you can see how you can use your cin, which allow you to key in what? Values into your variable. and see how to display a string or a content of a memory location or a variable to what? To your output device. All right, so today we've been able to talk about what? We've been able to talk about variable declaration. And I said, okay, how do you declare a variable? You declare a variable using the data type. You have integer, float, you have your double, you also have what? Your character, your char to store character, and you also have bool. These are what we call fundamental data type. So your integer stores, we're doing a recap, whole number, 10, 25, 1000, and the rest, whole number, right? Your float stores real numbers up to 6 or 7 decimal places. So when you're having 25.21 or the value of pi 3.142, right? So double also stores real number, but up to like 16 decimal places and the rest. And we also have the character stores any alphabet, A, B, C, D, even a space, it can store because a space is also a character, right? All right. So bool stores true or false, true or false, false as what? 0, 1 or as 0. All right. So see you next time.